I say this from personal experience. Marketers are incredibly bad at following processes. We are very impulsive. We like to jump to conclusions. We're very creative people. So, we just want to kind of jump in and kind of figure out a solution to a problem. We're not very methodical. And there's a technique that I use that has really helped me tremendously over the years. And I think it's a prerequisite for conversion optimization. So typically what happens is when a marketer is shown a marketing problem, let's say a client shows him a page or a landing page or her a landing page and says, okay, we notice that the conversion rates on this page suck. The marketer will immediately, if they are good in Photoshop, they'll start kind of designing a concept. If they are copywriters, they'll start writing new copy. And I think in that eagerness, we actually miss out on some really important steps. So one of the steps that we use before we start thinking about ideas is we start methodically listing all the types of questions and all the types of resistance a buyer might have on this page. And it's very useful because let's say I'm working on a backpack that is made for photographers, and am I a photographer that was buying the backpack? No. Am I their target audience? No. Right? So how do I get into the mind of the shopper? And the way you do that is by basically, in a very naive way, looking at the copy and saying, what does this mean? Why is this there? It's very annoying. But in that process, you're actually kicking up a whole bunch of questions. Now, you don't want to send the client all of those questions because it's going to look like just white noise, and it'll also reflect your incompetence in some ways, right? Nobody wants to get a list of like 10,000 questions. But what it's doing is it's kind of kicking up this process of just asking questions like what is some technical term that the client might have used. Why would I need let's say there are two size options. How do we know that people are concerned about these two size options or stuff like that? There's like literally hundreds of questions that are going to come up in this process. Trust me. I'm always amazed at the kinds of questions we come up with. So that's the first step. So before you become an expert at conversion optimization, you have to become an expert at asking questions. And the step that comes after that is asking really insightful questions. But again, marketers are going to jump to coming up with insightful questions without going through the discipline of just asking lots of questions. And through that process, you become better and better at asking really insightful questions. And of course, that's where the magic is. So before you start getting into conversion optimization, create a list of questions. And what I would also recommend is create a template file. Don't have to necessarily recreate or reinvent the wheel every time you're doing this for a client. Create a template file for it. You'll find that the 80% of the questions you're asking are around the same themes, right? For example, I'll give you one universal example that I've never seen a shopper not ask, which is, why is the price what it is? So whether your price point is $180, whether it's a $400 camera bag, whether it's an $80 camera bag, doesn't matter if you're premium or discount, the shopper is always going to ask. They want justification for price. They also always want to know value for money and quality. These are like universal questions. It doesn't matter whether you're selling medical appliances or you're selling home cooking appliances. It's the same principle. So these questions should show up in your template file. But in addition to that, there will be certain very specific technical questions that will come up. So if it's a room air purifier, you might have 20 extra questions that are unique to that product category versus if it's baby food. But 80% of it will be the same. So create a template. It's going to help you tremendously.